Hello and welcome to Brain Booster. In this video, we will be discussing the 10 worst nuclear accidents of all time. Number 1. Chernobyl, 1986. The Chernobyl disaster is considered the worst nuclear accident in history. It occurred on April 26, 1986, at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant in Ukraine. During a safety test, a sudden power surge caused a massive explosion and a fire that released a large amount of radioactive material into the atmosphere. The explosion killed 2 workers and caused 29 immediate deaths due to radiation exposure. The long-term health effects of the disaster are still being studied, but it is estimated that the disaster caused thousands of deaths from radiation-related illnesses. Number 2. Fukushima, 2011. On March 11, 2011, a 9.0 magnitude earthquake and subsequent tsunami struck Japan, causing the Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power plant to lose power and cooling. This resulted in a series of explosions, and 3 of the plant's reactors experienced a partial meltdown. The disaster released a large amount of radioactive material into the air and the ocean, and it is estimated that it will take decades to fully clean up the site. No deaths have been directly attributed to the disaster, but the long-term health effects are still being studied. Number 3. 3 Mile Island, 1979. On March 28, 1979, a partial meltdown occurred at the 3 Mile Island nuclear power plant in Pennsylvania. A series of mechanical and human errors caused a cooling malfunction in one of the reactors, resulting in a partial meltdown of the fuel core. While there were no immediate deaths or injuries, the disaster caused widespread public concern about the safety of nuclear energy. Number 4. Kyshtym, 1957. The Kyshtym disaster occurred on September 29, 1957, at the Mayak nuclear fuel reprocessing plant in the Soviet Union. A tank containing highly radioactive waste exploded, releasing a large amount of radioactive material into the air. The disaster was kept secret by the Soviet government, and the full extent of the damage was not made public until years later. It is estimated that the disaster caused thousands of deaths from radiation-related illnesses. Number 5. Windscale, 1957. The Windscale disaster occurred on October 10, 1957, at the Windscale nuclear reactor in the United Kingdom. A fire broke out in the reactor, causing a release of radioactive material into the air. The disaster was contained relatively quickly, but it is estimated that the release of radioactive material caused an increased risk of cancer for the surrounding population. Number 6. Takaimura, 1999. The Takaimura nuclear accident occurred on September 30, 1999, at a nuclear fuel processing plant in Takaimura, Japan. 3 workers were exposed to a high level of radiation when they accidentally mixed too much uranium in a tank, causing a criticality accident. 2 of the workers died within months, and the 3rd suffered from radiation sickness. Number 7. Goiânia, 1987. The Goiânia accident occurred on September 13, 1987, in Goiânia, Brazil. 2 scavengers found a medical device containing highly radioactive cesium-137 in an abandoned hospital, and they sold it to a scrapyard. The device was dismantled, and the radioactive material was spread throughout the community. The disaster caused 4 deaths and numerous cases of radiation sickness. Number 8. SL-1, 1961. The SL-1 nuclear accident occurred on January 3, 1961, in Idaho Falls, Idaho, USA. The accident involved a small experimental nuclear reactor used for military research. A criticality accident occurred when a control rod was removed too quickly, causing the reactor to go supercritical. The explosion and resulting radiation release killed 3 people and caused widespread contamination. Number 9. Saint-Laurent, 1980. The Saint-Laurent nuclear power plant in France experienced a partial meltdown on March 13, 1980. The disaster was caused by a cooling system failure in one of the reactors. While no immediate deaths or injuries were reported, it is estimated that the disaster caused an increased risk of cancer for the surrounding population. Number 10. SL-2, 1958. The SL-2 nuclear accident occurred on May 14, 1958, at the National Reactor Testing Station in Idaho, USA. A reactor core exploded during a maintenance procedure, killing 2 workers and injuring 4 others. The accident caused widespread contamination and resulted in the release of a large amount of radioactive material into the environment. Nuclear accidents can have catastrophic consequences, causing immediate deaths and long-term health effects. These 10 accidents are the worst nuclear disasters in history, and they serve as a reminder of the importance of proper safety measures and management in the nuclear energy industry.